Welcome to the LiveCast Conversations With. On this show, my guests and I explore the bumps and triumphs of their journey to extract the gems from their experiences, because success leaves clues, and today we turn those clues into billboards for you. I'm your host, Gene Bernier, founder of Pealed Back, speaker and co-active coach, guiding leaders to ruthlessly pursue a life worth living. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 90 of the LiveCast Conversations With. On today's show, we have Maria Telikiozoglou, and I hope I got that right. Close?
Close enough.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Maria is a relationship coach on a mission to share the gift of a daughter. Through her process, she holds space for fathers to stand in their power without disconnecting from their hearts. Together, they explore their closest relationships, starting with the one with themselves, to cultivate a connection with all that they are and aligning their head, heart, and gut. Maria, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So the words that I just shared probably do not do half the justice to your experience and the journey that you've taken to become a relationship coach that is focusing on the gift of a daughter.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah,
this is how you kind of got there.
This is something that's kind of still unfolding. We're always in a process, right? But so the question is how this unfolded.
Yeah, how did this unfold with you? Like, obviously there was a process of deciding to become a coach. Was this like the thing that drew you into coaching, or is this something that you've discovered through that process of like processing something within?
All of the above. All of the above.
I love it.
So I came to coaching not too long ago, so 3 years ago so far. And what I really loved about coaching, experiencing coaching, as a coachee, was that I had a lot of agency, a lot of responsibility, a lot of validating that I was naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, and able to make changes in my life, grab life by the short hairs, as they say, and go. And there was a lot of things in the background that led me to eventually coaching men that are fathers, and coach and become a relationship coach. And it's really hard for me to bottom line this, so please forgive me, and thank you for having me.
We have time and space
to
explore. Yeah.
But it was working with people in this niche was something that happened very gradually. So it wasn't like I went in here and I was like, I'm going to coach men that are fathers. It just sort of happened because as I was a new coach, I got referrals from my network to practice with people, and they happened to be a few men that were in this niche. And through coaching them, it really touched something inside me when I realized that these clients, these individuals that I worked with, they're carrying a lot of pain. They're carrying a lot of pain, and they don't often speak about it. I've had my own journey as a child, a young adult, and all that, and I've been really influenced and impacted by father figures in my life, negatively and positively. And that's also guided me this way. So when I started to work with men that were fathers, I started to relate that to the other. And then also there's this other layer that's more individual and internal, and it has to do with, for lack of a better term, masculine and feminine traits within people, and as I was growing up, I highly valued a lot of masculine traits, So a lot of like structure, discipline, logic, all these things that I would be lost without, because I came from a very unstable background. I really I strived for stability. So I took those traits and I really held on to them, and they carried me through my younger years, or my younger adult years anyway.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of positive things for me. But along the way, I kind of pushed away and sometimes outright shunned the other side, the more feminine qualities, the more like being in touch with your emotions, being in touch with your intuition, that sort of thing. And I see this as a struggle that many people have, because we all have these qualities in us, and they're in conflict with each other. And I see this a lot with the clients that I work with now, because they're men, and I don't want to speak for all men because I can't speak for all anybody, but I see that there's an extra difficulty that they have at allowing themselves to be in touch with the other parts of themselves.
Right.
So I see this as a place that I can contribute, because I've been through this transformational arc where I was strongly, like, I don't want to say that I was masculine, but this is the language that is coming up right now. So this is the language I'm sure you can follow. Yeah. But I've learned to allow the other side, and I love the synergy that the two allow. So that's something that we work a lot with my clients, just allowing all of it, not making any of it wrong.
And where you were talking about earlier, where they can be at conflict, and now you've learned about what that synergy means for them, right? Because they are two pieces of the same coin, right? You got to have both those sides to complete the coin, the yin and yang, or however, whatever works in that context. So was there like a big moment for you where you had to come to terms with it not being this conflict, but being, oh, they actually pair each other well?
That's a really good question, Gene. I'm trying to think if there was a moment, but I can't pick anything in my head right now.
Right.
But what I would say is that you can't deny the other part of you. It's always there. So it will bubble up, and sometimes in not so constructive ways, if that makes sense. So
100%.
So that brings me to another point of like not avoiding all the parts of yourself, because those parts exist and they have a life and they will be heard one way or the other. So when you asked me if there was points, but there wasn't one specific point, but it was just a struggle throughout my life so far. And it continues to be a struggle, because, it's not like I've arrived. I've gone through some transformational arcs, and hopefully I'll be going through them my whole life. But I've learned to value both sides.
Oh, and I can imagine there's did this. So it's a bit of a trick question, because so far nobody on the show's ever been like, yeah, there was this one pivotal moment. Be like, it's these little bits of moments that have added up over time to bring through and have these breakthroughs. And I like how you talk about these arcs, these transformational arcs, and that they keep happening, right? So it's this, you're just kind of making this wave through your life, and it's up to you to choose how you create that wave and bring that wave into it, and what comes from that. And as well, part of what like stood out for me is when you're talking about I think you used the word denying those other pieces of you. They're going to bubble up and they're going to like demand to be heard, right? It's like, I think about like a child, be like, well, they're going to get the attention one way or the other. They don't care if it's good behavior or bad behavior, as long as they get the end result, which is see me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it sounds like there was some instances, and I can attest to myself, been through that, done that, still learning to deal with that as well, where you had in your own life and going through coaching where you're like, oh, I see this. Oh, that was causing a pattern I didn't really quite understand or I was fighting against.
Mm-hmm. And what comes up for me to say is that we have so many centers of intelligence. So it's a shame to just stay with the one up here, even though it's so valuable. Like, I'm not throwing it away by any means. We need it. But
it is
there's
powerful and it's creative. And
mm-hmm.
when that power is not really understood or let loose on its own, it can create a lot of damage in its wake too, due to its just sheer creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you now that you've learned this about yourself and you've gone through the process of like identifying this other side of that coin and starting to build that synergy between the feminine and the masculine, is how do you bring that into your process now? Because that can be a really jarring, it can be a jarring place to be when you've denied that other side and to be forced to be in this place of, is this safe enough for me to start to explore this? Like, what's that like for in your process?
What's that like in my process with my clients?
Yeah, like sure. Like, how do you express that within your coaching to identify that this is going to be jarring, and that this is both a safe and courageous place? Because some of
Honestly,
that work is
I
really
would say
tough.
I do not address it. I think it comes up on its own, and each client brings up their own vocabulary around it. I don't speak about that directly. It's just something that I've seen. I've seen repeat itself, within me and in my work with my clients. But it's not something I sit there and talk about. It's just something that arises. And it's something that I think people are aware of. Like, they have an inkling that they should tap into their emotions more, or into their bodies, like not leave their bodies so much.
Yeah.
They have an inkling or an instinct that those things are important, but they've been avoiding them so long that it's almost a foreign land.
Yes.
So when I say that we're trying to live more aligned, like head, heart, gut, more in alignment more of the time, it's really that, so most of the times we'll start out with the head because that's the loudest component and the most developed. But
Right.
it's sort of like a metaphor that I like to use is that of a pinball machine. So a pinball, just, sometimes it can get stuck in one place.
Yeah.
And, and you're collecting points, sure, but that over here you get more points, or over here you get more points, but you're stuck here. So that's a lot like when we're stuck in our brain, we're doing a lot of work and we're getting somewhere. But
Right.
if that ball releases and hits something else, like, so we're talking about a subject and then we drop into the emotion, talking about that, how does it feel? Ping. And that feeling, what's the physicality of it? Ping, the body, and what is that bringing up? And things come up
Right.
because of the synergy of all three. And I don't know if I'm answering a question now, but it's, yeah. Is there
yeah, I think, well, that was kind of that source of where I was looking to go with it, is like, you're going to hear some things, and as that coach is standing in that place of this relationship, of focusing on the relationship, when somebody's not attuned to the other languages of their heart and gut, be like, what was it like to start to bring that attunement? Because you're basically teaching them to speak another language, more or less. Is like, the mind language is that's the first one, right? And when
Maybe so, but
neglected it.
I think they already know that language. They just don't often have that space and that permission to, you know, to speak it. So I don't see myself teaching. I just see myself as holding a space and encouraging, because it's already there.
Right.
It's already there. And there might be like tools that you can use to become more emotionally literate, like, here's a list of emotions, and that will appease your intellectual self, like your brain. But like we said earlier, people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And I mean it when I say whole. They might be out of touch, but when they allow when the intention is there to try to be in touch, and they allow themselves, when they give themselves the grace and space for that, things come up on their own.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the grace and space to allow those things to bubble up, to hold that space for when they do. That's the process here. That's the good thing. Be like, let's not run away from it. You're talking about like starting to really use words to identify what's happening in the body, to get more in tune with what's happening in that body, to start syncing up that head, heart, and gut a little bit more through being able to do it through the words, but then having that moment to slow down. What is here?
Right. And to get just really curious about it.
Yes.
Because it is fascinating. It can be terrifying too, but let's stick with fascinating. Terrifying because it's the unknown in that sense.
It's kind of exploring into this space that, like you say, it is unknown, uncharted, going, am I going to be okay going through this? I imagine that's probably some of it too.
Mm-hmm. And something that's coming up for me to say, as because I'm a relationship coach, so it's a lot about relationship with self, relationship with other people, and that connection piece of like being connected to your whole self. You can't really be connected to another person if you're disconnected from yourself. So I don't know, it just made sense for me to bring that up here, but you can...
Yeah, no, I think that's very much true. Is like, if we're playing from this place of naturally creative, whole, and resourceful, be like, then to be able to be fully connected within yourself allows you to express the full you to your external relationships as well, right? And sometimes it can feel like you're playing with like a hand tied behind your back, or if you're not coming from the world like we are of CTI, people would, I've been notorious of saying to myself prior to this journey, is going, I'm broken. Be like, no, you're not. You're going through an experience, and there's something to be learned from this, and there's going to be some growth. But how allowing them not to feel like that hand's behind their back anymore, to be able to get into the mess of it, to explore it, and there's a component, I think, of like boldly stepping into that as well.
Definitely.
And when you get your clients able to start to have that, what's the word? It's not realignment, but there's a component of starting to get familiar with the unfamiliar, which is themselves. I can imagine that it really starts to bring up all those things that they may not have even known that they were avoiding.
Sometimes it does that, yeah. And I see it as like reconnecting with themselves, because when we're younger, when we're much, much younger, before this develops, we're so much more connected to our emotions and our bodies. And I'm not saying let's all become children. I'm just saying let's revisit a time when you were angry, your body showed anger, and the emotions that came out of it were, they matched, whereas when we're adults, they sometimes don't match, and that's disalignment. So if if you're saying one thing but then your body language is saying another, that's very disaligned, and that's very inauthentic. And people at their core, they want to be authentic, and they want to be authentically connecting with other people. So that's why I think that alignment in yourself is so important to cultivate, and that takes practice. Takes many reps.
I love the gym reference here, because it's true. Like you got to put the work in to build that muscle. It's like anything else. To have growth, there has to be resistance, and there has to be some tension within that to allow you to grow that, to expand upon that, to be more than it was before, to bring that. And it comes back down to that awareness. And when I hear this disalignment of the body language versus the words, be like, I would think, oh, I've experienced myself, it's like you get this like weird, like, is there a betrayal here? Like, oof, what's happening with that?
Yeah. And I'd offer that awareness is the first step, and it's not by chance that I said reps and made like a gym reference, because it is very somatic. So a lot of times the ways in which we're stuck they're deeply embodied in us. We think we're just stuck in our brain, and sometimes we can loosen that stuckness in our brain. Then we go to the emotions, and we go on this like emotional catharsis roller coaster, and clear that. And even if you're not flooded about something, or you're not confused about it because you've made sense of it, it's you still have these habitual patterns that are embodied in you. So for instance, if you're a person who really wants to connect with people, but you've learned to put walls up, and the way you hold yourself and the way you act is like saying no to connection, even though you've reasoned, you may have done therapy on why you are the way you are, and you understand it, and your emotions, what you want, what you're afraid of, all those things, but your body is still like, nope, we learned this, because we've done 1,000,000 reps this way. So that's why the somatic piece is so important too, and those reps, figuring out how you want to be, how you want it to feel, and then what are some of your obstacles on your way to how you want to be. And a lot of those obstacles are somatic.
I love that. And there's a component of like, it took your body a long time to learn to react like that, right? And that was done through this training. It was potentially unconscious, but at the time it served its purpose. And now when you want to like undo that belief within your body, well, it's going to take just as long, if not longer, to put in the reps. It's going to take more reps to break that habit. And there's a component of seeing that and identifying that from that body component, and almost starving out that old response, and not feeding it anymore. Going, I see it, I hear it, now we're going to feed the good thing.
Yeah. But what I think of, that example of, if somebody tells you, don't think of a pink elephant, no matter what you do, don't think about a pink elephant. Well, you'll be thinking about the pink elephant. So if you think of your old pattern that you want to starve as the pink elephant, it's not that you don't want to look at it. You want to see the pink elephant out of the corner of your eye and be like, here it is. And then focus your attention on, I don't know, a tree frog. Like, the new loop,
the new thing.
So you're still saying thank you to the pink elephant. You know what it is, what it feels like, but you're making a choice to move to the other thing. So I don't think we're ever getting rid or, starving the other habit. We're just making different choices because, things have cracked open. We don't have to just do that. We can choose to do this or that.
Right, there's more perspectives within that, and more possibilities within it when you can start to identify it, see it. And I like that part about saying thank you to it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
see you. You were
Appreciate
important at
you.
one point. You got us here. Thank you. To get there, we're gonna have to. We're doing this new thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you were important, and if we ever need you again, we know where you are, and we're gonna go do this. And it's like that slowly, that learning, that it's habit,
Yeah.
habit breaking, or pattern interrupting more than anything.
Right. Right. And this we speak of, that's like a reminder that you're in the driver's seat. You know, not the elephant or the tree frog. But you know, you're
Because
a choice. You have agency.
yes, yes, and identifying that at times, sometimes maybe we've let the elephant or the tree frog have the captain's chair,
Mm-hmm.
and that is why they're so strong and so big, and they're a huge elephant. And now it's time to like they get to be demoted, or on to
Mm-hmm.
another. They're on to their new adventure. They get to retire. Maybe is a better way of looking at it. Is like that component of thanking it, acknowledging it, seeing for it for its fullness as well. Right? Is exploring what it all was. Good.
Mm-hmm.
You get to retire. You've done your job. So that's maybe just a way that I'll remember that part for it. So
Yeah.
so going through the work. So now you're just in the recent parts of relaunching your site. A gift for from a it's a gift for a daughter or from a
The
daughter.
gift of a daughter.
Gift of a daughter. So you've gone through that. Obviously, there's been a lot of the site looks great, by the way, and a lot of work gone into that. What was it like figuring out and putting words to all the work that you've been doing? Because sometimes that can be a struggle to get that concise.
That can be tricky because there's a few things that you're trying to balance, or that I'll just speak for myself, that I was trying to balance. I was trying to balance, you know, my vision and my why and what was leading me with actually thinking about the people that I've served already, and what are their pain points, what are their desires, you know, and seeing where those two align, you know, because
Right.
I need this to be authentic so that I can keep, you know, so that it is sustainable, but I also need it to be outwardly focused. And that's something that has taken years, you know, of like a lot of introspection, a lot of like me, and analyzing me, and stories and this and that. And it's so, I don't know what the word is, but gratifying to get outside of yourself, you know, like, okay, cool.
Yes.
You've had this journey so far. You've been influenced by this, that, and this. And here's some silver lining to some hardships you had that unlock a gift that you might have to share, because I think that's what we want to do for the
Yes.
most part. People want to serve. They have, and I have this belief that we're all endowed with gifts that we need to uncover and give away.
Right.
And the painful part of living, I think, or in my experience, is when you have these gifts and they're so like, you know, sitting on a desk covered in dust, you know, and you're not giving them away, you know. And I think that that's a source of pain. So now I'm derailing, but what I'm
No,
trying
not
to
at all.
say is like all this introspection, good, 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 good. But the focus of my work is, you know, my clients, you know, their
Right.
experiences. You know, I'm not going to project my experiences onto them. I'm going to take each individual client as an individual and hear them, see them, learn from them. And that's another huge part of this business, and what I love so much about it. It's opening my eyes. You know, like I'm able to um, witness other people's wisdom as it unfolds in the sessions, and
Right.
I'm so grateful for that. And that's, you know, that's going to be another part of my transformational arc. I'm going to, you know, learn so much from my clients
Yes.
as they learn about themselves. So I'm not sure if I answered the question again, but
no, yeah, I think it went in the direction that the question was intended there, is to experience that. And I love the metaphor of the gift sitting on your desk, getting dusty, and realizing that the gift is about them, not about you. And
yeah.
I agree. I think we're all here to serve, and that's the true gift of being human, is that we get to serve one another.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to say, hey, is this gift for you? I've got a gift. Here's a gift. And being able to allow them to look at that, go, oh, I can see myself in this gift. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Let's talk about that, versus going, hey, I do all these wonderful things. Me. They're going, I can't see me
Right.
in that. Cool what you're doing, but not for me. So
right.
I think
It's so basic, but it's so easy to get wrapped up in that, because you're trying to make sure you have, all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, however that saying is. And, be perfect before you step out of your cave to serve,
100%.
Got a little dramatic with the cave, but.
Well, and it's true, right? Like when you're serving from that place and building a business and doing this, it's about standing there with them. This is their story. This is their arc. So how do you then position it from that point of, I believe you'd said that you're not going to try to implant your experiences onto that. So standing that, speaking to that, and showing that from all steps of that connection point goes, oh, well, I can trust that this is I see me, I recognize me in the story that's being shared. And then later on in sessions going, I still see me, I see me more, and I've evoked this transformation. And you've got to focus on the whole person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's coming up for me to say is that as I've been in this process of being a new coach and onboarding new clients and, managing marketing and all these things that most coaches, they don't like to think about, including me. I realized that, because I was trying to make sure that I was credible and this and that and prove. And I realized that people, they don't care about what you know until they realize how much you care. So for me, in my journey of like setting up this business of the gift of a daughter coaching services, it was a lot about tapping into my sense of care that wasn't just, it wasn't just a business. It's something I really care about, and there's something pulling me here, and I don't know what it is exactly. And I think I'll only be able to connect the dots looking back. But for now, what I'm doing feels very, very aligned, because I think there's a need for it. I think I know I really care about it. And I'm trusting that. And so far, things are falling into place. And again, I don't know where I'm going, Gene. So reel me back.
No, you're
great questions.
Oh, well, I'm just letting you go because it's a great spot. Like that whole. I think as a coach, as an entrepreneur, period, right? There's these components of it of the business outside of just doing the delivery of the service that can be really intimidating and really hard, and this really like that's the kind of that part when people talk about the grind and the stuff that they don't like, be like, that's it, that's like, there's working in the business or working on the business,
right?
And you got to kind of like
really
fill both those cups.
Sorry, that really takes you into this me mode,
Yeah.
Which it's so liberating to get out of.
Yes, because at the end of the day, it'd be like, we won't have business if it wasn't for them, so we need to be for them.
We want to be.
Yeah. To be there, to hear that, to understand it, and tie it back to your part about learning more wisdom, is like, the more that you deliver and the more that you're open to learning and not being attached to like however you're presenting from a marketing standpoint now, is like, what else could this be? How else can this continue to grow? Just like everything else, like this business is in itself is going through a cycle of evolution and transformation, and it's a constant and never-ending thing as well as you grow and to find out where else this can take you and how more you get to have an opportunity to serve as you're open to hearing it, to learning it, going, oh, all these dots that I just passed, that's how they connect together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if the past is any sign that dots connect, then yeah, I agree with that completely.
I had a guest on a couple episodes ago, and he was talking about looking out the rear view mirror. Is like that's the only place you get to see where the dots connect, right? And it's the same thing that you're sharing here. Is you have to have that faith that where you're going is the right next step, because right where you are, why do they call it the right place and right time? Because it's the right place and right time, and that's right now, right? So no matter where you're taking that step, in some shape or form, all the dots behind you do eventually all connect.
And I think that loops very nicely in with making sure you're connected to all of you, so that whatever next step you're taking is aligned. And that's what you can trust. If you can build that self-trust and that inner sense of support and that alignment, then you can trust life easier. That's the wrong word, but I think you get where I'm going with that.
Oh, 100%, right? Like when you've got the head, heart, and gut all going, yes, be like, cool, that's the right thing, and like to be able to hear that, because sometimes maybe the mind will be like, this is the right thing. That heart and the gut are screaming, no. Got to bring all that consensus together to find out can we get a bunch more yeses from all three, and that's usually where it comes right back to like that betrayal of self and denying. Be like, when all three are saying yes, powerful things happen.
And we can say this until we're blue in the face, but once you experience that, you'll be going like, yes.
That is the truth of it. We have that realization. You like hear it all, and it's just like, why wasn't I doing this before? Be like, doesn't matter. Be like, you can do it now, and you can learn it now, and you can put the reps in now, right? It's a full circle back to bringing that back into that awareness and putting the reps into the awareness, because once you start doing it in one spot, it's going to start leaking into others. And before you know it, you're going to start being aware of a whole bunch of things. You're like, that's a lot of slices. All right, we better start dealing with some of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Maria, I said at the top of it before we came on, I'm going to look up at some point, be like, it's 38 minutes, and I want to be respectful of your time. So this is an opportunity to give a shout out to yourself and to the work that you're doing. And where's the best place for people to connect with you?
I'd say the best place would be on LinkedIn, and it would be under my name. The other place is my website. So thegiftofthedaughter.com, and in there you'll be able to find my contact email and all that. So those are the two places, and I have my socials linked there, even though I'm not so active, but I will be in the coming months.
So the link to the website's down below, and I believe both your socials and LinkedIn and stuff are in there as well.
Hey, thank you.
You're very welcome. So before we let you go, I asked all my guests one final question. So it used to be we jump into my time machine, we go back 10 years, and be like, what's that one piece of advice you wish you would have given to yourself back then? Now, we go into the future. So we're going to go meet future you. When we get there, it's going to be 10 years into the future. We're going to open the door. What's the one piece of advice future you wishes to give you right now?
I think it's keep trusting life. Trust life.
Love that.
Because
trust that it will unfold.
For sure. Because, I can say these things, but every day it's a struggle to keep trusting, to keep reconnecting. It's like What is that thing in the circus where they hang from one and then grab the other?
Oh, the trapeze.
The trapeze, right? So it's very much like swing and, you know, connect to your body, connect to everything, and trust that you're going to grab the other trapeze, or yeah, you know, let go of the one to grab the
Yes.
other. So yeah, trust life, Maria.
I love that metaphor. That's a great place to end this episode.
Yeah.
Maria, thank you so much for being on episode 90 with us. And for everybody else that was watching today, thank you for watching another episode of the LiveCast Conversations With. And until next Wednesday, trust life and reach for the trapeze.